welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Emily with Radkey Plans, back with my long overdue April TBR video. I know, it is the 18th of April right now, and I have had so much going on in my life between work and personal stuff that I have not had the time to record this video. But since it is Sunday and I am home and I am relaxing, I decided to take some time away from watching Zack Snyder's Justice League, because that's just what I was doing right now. And then I was like, you know what? I need to go ahead and record this video because it's definitely on my to-do list. So let's go ahead and get into it. I do have my EC softcover notebook, and I am ready to tell you first and foremost what I read in the month of March. So in March, I read 5 books, and they were all great. I only had one that I didn't really like that much. So let's go ahead and start with the first book that I read, which is the first in the Enforcer series by Maya Banks, called Mastered. So this is a book about basically this girl named Evangeline. She was just dumped by her boyfriend, and her friends decide, hey, you know, you need to have your revenge. And so they send her to this crazy ass club, and basically the ex sees her and like almost punches her, and these bodyguards show up, and basically this guy named Drake, who owns the club, basically comes to her rescue by proxy through his bodyguards, and he is immediately smitten with her. Now, this book definitely has that whole trope of love at first sight, and the girl Evangeline, she is like everything you don't want in your heroine in a book. She is very down on herself, self-loathing, but also like she just doesn't have a lot of confidence or self-esteem. And then Drake is your typical alpha male, control everything, super rich, whatever. And that's basically what this book is. But I will tell you, it's that type of book I like to call complete trash that you can't stop reading. So I finished this book in a couple of days. I absolutely adored it. And again, it's the first book in a 3-part series. And I did read the second book, which I actually have a completely different viewpoint on. I think the one thing I did actually really like about this book was how she did start to get some confidence, and she would push back on him a lot. So I thought that was kind of important. And I will go ahead and tell you, if I had to give this 0 out of 10 on the steam factor, this is a 9.5. So very good book. So that was the first book that I read for the year, or for the month of March. The second book I read was the debut novel by Helen Huang, The Kiss Quotient. This book is about Stella. Stella is basically a math whiz, and she's also on the autism spectrum. And she basically wants to learn how to have sex and how to have romance and how to be a girlfriend. And so she hires a male escort by the name of Michael. And she basically puts him on retainer to teach her these things. You already know what happens. They fall for each other. There's a big conflict. And this was just a really fun read for me because it was just different than anything that I had read before. You know, even with their conflict, it wasn't like they didn't like each other or he lied or she lied or anything like that. It was something else. So I really enjoyed this book. I gave this book 5 stars. Oh, I should also mention Mastered. I gave 4 stars. But this was a very, very fast 5-star read for me. I absolutely adored this book. I'm really excited to read the next book in this series. There are 2 other books in this series that I definitely will be reading, but I highly, highly recommend if you just want a fun romance. This is a good one. So the next book I read is I think it's the most recent book by Jasmine Gilroy, Party of 2. So this book I believe came out last summer, and this is one of those books where I bought it last summer and then I didn't read it. Story of my life, right? Anyway, this book is about Olivia Monroe. So she is Alexis's older sister. Alexis is from the first book in the series, The Wedding Date, but it's about her and Max. So Alexis has just recently moved back to the LA area, and she is opening up her own firm with her best friend, and she basically meets this guy in a hotel because that's where she's staying since she had just moved from New York, and they hit it off, but she didn't get his name or number. Come to find out, he is actually a junior senator, and his name is Max, and Max is he's gorgeous, and he's also very impulsive in comparison to her, very calculated. So they start dating, and then their relationship ends up going public because, you know, he is a U.S. senator for the state of California. And there is some conflict in this book, and I thought it was really important. What I loved about this book, first and foremost, is that it is a Black woman, white male romance. As you guys know, and I'll put a picture up here, my husband is white, so anytime I get to read a biracial romance that in the couple mirrors me and my husband, I really enjoy that. You know, because again, representation is important, and so are the representation of various different romantic couples. So I really, really love that about this book. The other thing about this book that I really loved was that the conflict did not necessarily have to do with, you know, he doesn't understand what it's like to be a Black woman or anything like that. It was more based off of her comfort level of what she wants to share with the world, which I really, really appreciated, and I absolutely love that part of this book. I gave this book 5 stars. I thought it was fantastic. I immediately, like when I finished it, I wanted to read it again. So that was Party of 2. The next book I read, I don't have it with me because I had to take it back to the library, but it was Dominated by Maya Banks. It is the second book in that Enforcer series. This was a 2-star read for me, y'all. Basically, the first book ended on a cliffhanger because basically something went down and she fled, and he regretted it as soon as he messed up. And the book started off on a high, you know, because he's trying to search all over New York City trying to find her, and it was freaking awesome. And there was just so much like just pent up, like, oh my God, is he gonna find her? And then he finds her, and then they start to have a whirlwind romance, and it was so great. And then the number one thing that I cannot stand in a book, she gets pregnant. Now, I have said this in previous videos. I have put this on my Instagram. Y'all know this is the number one cop-out, in my opinion, with books, is when authors think that it's pertinent to the story to make it so that the heroine, the girl that you're rooting for, has a kid. I just don't like it. I just think that it is a total cop-out. I feel like it's not so much that like it's not realistic. That's really not it for me, but it's just, you know, it's kind of like reducing down women to only be vessels for tiny humans. I don't know. But as soon as I got to that part, I even tried, right? Because some books, I don't mind if they go to that, right? I even tried to say, okay, maybe this is gonna work itself out, and it didn't. And then there was a kidnapping, and Drake killed somebody, and it just got way out of what I wanted it to, so I had to stop. I was like, no. So I'm sorry, it was a 2-star read for me. There is another book in the series that's about one of the bodyguards. I'm gonna read it, obviously, because like I don't like to not finish series. But yeah, Dominated, I couldn't do it. It's 2 stars. Sorry, it is what it is. So the next book, and if you guys want to know, I have my my book planner here as well as my softcover EC. The next book that I did read for the month, and this is going to be the last book that I read, was The Angel by Tiffany Reese. This is the sequel to The Siren. So this takes us back with Nora. And Nora is basically at a situation where she and Wes, who was her 19-year-old live-in assistant who she fell in love with, she and he have gone their separate ways, and she is back with Soren, who is our very dark priest that is also a sadist. I need to go ahead and just let you guys know real quick too, this series is a BDSM erotic novel. And it has a lot of triggers. So I will make sure, like, when I link this down in the description, I'm going to put a trigger warning. There are a couple of trigger warnings in this book. One of which is, BDSM. The guy's a sadist. There are a lot of Catholic references, as well as there's also an element of child abuse in here, but it's not with any of the characters in the book. But I really enjoyed this novel. This one is about Nora and her relationship with Soren, in addition to Michael. So Michael is basically the angel. Michael is a kid who, has certain feelings about sex and about the BDSM world that he really thinks that he wants to be a part of. So basically, Nora is his mentor. Also, there are elements and realizations of bisexuality in this book, which I thought were really enlightening. And overall, it was a great book. Like, I couldn't put it down. And this is like a 400 and some odd page book, and I think I finished it in like 4 days. Considering that I usually only read about 2-3 hours a day, that's actually like a really big feat for me. But I adored it. I really can't wait to read the next book in the series. So so that is the 5th book that I read. Fantastic, 5-star read. Again, trigger warnings, but I think that this is a really good series to read to get you out of your comfort zone. So, and not to mention too, I really like erotic novels like this because there are so many different elements that I never really thought about. So yeah, The Angel, great book, highly recommend. So now let's get into May. Or no, we're not in May, we're in April. Okay, so far for the month of April, I have read one book. And this one was on my TBR, and I can go ahead and just kind of let you guys know what it is. I will review it in my May TBR video when I recap my April books. But I have already finished Bridgerton, the first book in the Bridgerton series, The Duke and I. Yeah, I can let you guys know though, I gave it 3 stars, but I will let you guys know why in my next video, so stay tuned for that. So here is the healthy stack of books that I am currently wanting to read. So I will go ahead and start. So right now there are 8 books that I want to read this month. I will tell you, it's been a really slow month for me. I had a few health issues at the beginning of the month and just a few other things going on. I'm still on track to finish my goal of 5 books this month, but we'll just kind of see what happens. So first book that I am currently reading on audio, I'm about halfway through it, I think I just gotta move the bookmark, is Kamala Harris's memoir, The Truths We Hold, An American Journey. I'm listening to it on audio. I think I kind of already told you guys, but like whenever I read biographies or memoirs, I like to listen because I want to hear that person tell their story. So far, this is incredible. Really gives you an insight to her life. One of the things that I like about this book so far that I'm really enjoying is that she definitely starts out her book talking about her childhood and what it was like to grow up in the late 60s or early 70s in San Francisco in a biracial family. But another thing that I really like is that, she references back to her childhood a lot through stories of things that happened during the time that she was a prosecutor, attorney general, and also U.S. senator. So I really, really love that about this book, and more than likely I'll have this finished this week sometime. So that's a good one. The next one was a recommendation, and these are short novellas, and I've already finished one. And this is the Calendar Girl series by Audrey Carlin. I have already finished January, and I'm currently reading February. Basically, this is about this girl. Her name is Mia, and her father has gotten involved with Mia's ex-boyfriend, who is this huge Las Vegas loan shark. And so basically, she has to pay back her father's debt of $1 million. So I know that sounds ridiculous, but trust me. So basically what she does is she has an aunt that's a madam, and she becomes an escort. She's a high dollar escort, where she is only taking high dollar clients, and she basically has to live with a client every month in order to pay back the debt. the key is that in her contract, it is not regulated that, you know, that she has to sleep with him, because, you know, they want to keep it legal. But if she does, they have to pay her an extra $20,000. So I already read January. That was the first novella. February is the second. Wes is my new book boyfriend from the first one, but it was a really good book. I really enjoyed it, and it's just kind of like a trash romance. I don't know, completely unrealistic, but I really liked it. And yeah, I'm really excited to read this series. Like I said, I've got 11 books to go, so really good. All right, the next books that I want to read Kept. So this is the third book in the Enforcer series by Maya Banks. This one is actually about Silas, whom is the primary bodyguard to Drake and Evangelique from the first book, Mastered. So that is his love story. This one is another one that is a Black woman, white male romance, Rafe, by Rebecca Weatherspoon. I've heard fantastic things about this book, and this beefy redhead on the cover, I'm with it. So yes, very excited to read that. The next would be The Bride Test by Helen Huang. So this is the second book in that series from the Kiss Quote It. This one is about Kai, whom is Michael's cousin, and Esme, and it has to do with arranged marriage. And also Kai is also on the autism spectrum. So really excited to read this one. Next, and it's another book, actually, I didn't write it down. Okay. So actually, I've read 2 books so far this month. The first was Intercepted, and I'll put it up here, and that was by Alexa Martin. I gave that book 4.5 stars, but again, I will talk about that one next month. But I do want to read the second book in the series, which is called Fumbled. These books are great because they are a sport romance, and the sport is football. So I'm really excited to read this one. It's basically talking about players that have been mentioned, and you know how they find love, and they all play for the fictitious NFL team, the Denver Mustangs. So really excited to read that one. Next, I have Naked by Megan Hart. I actually read the fourth book in this series ahead of time, and I didn't realize it, but I really liked it. So this is the first book in the series, and this is a part of the Alex Kennedy series, so really excited. I really love her writing, so excited to read this one. And last but not least, I will be reading the third book in the original Sinner series by Tiffany Reese, The Prince. So like I said, I already read The Siren, I have read The Angel, and now it's time for me to read The Prince. So this one is going to be about Wes and Nora, because they are finally back together, and also a long-standing relationship between Soren and King. So really excited to read this one, you guys. Yes, really excited. So those are all of the books that I want to read this month. Granted, I only have so many days left in the month, but I think I can at least probably get in 3 more. So yeah, so that is what I have going on. So down in the comments, tell me, what are you reading this month? What have you already read? And have you read any of the books that I have talked about? And what did you think? What was your star rating? All of that good stuff. Again, if you liked this video and want to see more content about books, planners, paper crafts, all of that fun stuff, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you liked this video about my TBR, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to be notified for when I post my next video, make sure you hit that notification bell as well, okay? So anyway, as I have already introduced myself, it's your girl Emily with Rad Plans. I hope everybody is having a fantastic day and is going to have an even better week, and I will see you guys on my next update. Bye.